All right, we're gonna go ahead and get this work session started. This is City Council Work Session, Monday, July 27th, 2026, 4:30 PM in the Thomas J. Smith Council Chambers, City Hall, 400 Washington Street. And today, we're actually gonna start with part of the regular agenda, number 2, which is a public hearing consideration of an agreement with Burlington Baseball Association, Inc. for the use of community field for all baseball and community activities. So I don't know if,
So I will
Yeah.
just kind of go through. This is a contract amendment for the Burlington Bees. Their current agreement, which was a 3-year agreement, expired June 30, so this isn't a renewal. The reason that it's set for a public hearing is because it is a 3-year agreement. So anytime the city does anything at 3 years or longer, it requires a public hearing. So that's why it's set for a public hearing. Just walking through the agreement, there really are just a couple of changes. One, we'd been talking since last budget season about including the community field in the CIP, the city's capital improvement planning, and so that work was done during budget season. Community field has been added. All of the things on the list, ADA improvements, restroom improvements, playground equipment, or whatever's on that list, they're all listed as unfunded because the premise is that as we go through budget work session, the council decides what things they want to fund or not fund. So in fiscal '27, there are a handful of things listed out for community field for at least 5 years, if not 10, I don't remember, but they're all listed as unfunded, okay? And then that conversation was in lieu of removing the $50,000 a year for capital improvement planning. That was taken out last year. And then it's a 3-year agreement, and the support is at a flat $75,000. So those are the significant changes to the agreement.
okay. Any comments from council?
Yes, I have a couple.
Okay,
Since 2013, when we started funding the capital improvements contribution of $50,000 a year, we've contributed $650,000. You know what that was expended on? What improvements were made?
I don't specifically know, other than just capital improvements, or they, maybe they'd save up a year or two and then make a big improvement or something like that.
So
We've
they
got-
did that big project where they redid the third base and first base where that was part of it. And then they've been doing things like the lighting updating and stuff like that. Is
The
what
what?
they did, some lighting updating, and then they did that third base and first base, the decks, and they spent a lot of money on those things, and that's what they've been using as the expenses that we've been, to
Okay.
support the $50,000, is those big projects that they did.
Okay.
Yeah, we get an invoice from them every year that shows us what, at the beginning of the project, we knew how much they spent, and then they're just invoicing us, they were invoicing us every year $50,000 to recoup those big projects that they did. So we do get backup telling us what the projects that the money's being spent on.
Okay, could you maybe get that for us before the?
Yeah,
council meetings?
I can go through and find when they first started sending it to us, the original amounts.
Okay.
Okay.
Does that coincide with, Tim had mentioned 2015?
Yeah,
Do you think you have information that far
Oh,
back, or, okay?
Yeah,
20
yeah.
2013 to
2013, is that, okay.
Yes. I came in
These are
12, so I
Iowa
think
projects.
I've seen it every year since I've been here.
great.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Okay.
Vision Iowa was done in 2005, or started 2005. And that was about $1.6 million project. And then in 2011, there was started making bond payments for that. And then in 2013, there was a $700,000 another $700,000 bond issue. So I'm trying to figure out what the $700,000 paid for, what the $425,000 paid for, and what the $650,000.
Yeah, I'll go back through what our documentation and get that information for you.
Okay,
Okay?
all right, appreciate that.
Yep, you're welcome.
All right. Any other,
My,
do you want to move the mic a little bit?
sorry about that.
Yep.
My concern is that when we do capital improvements projects and they're sizable, we have a public hearing. And generally, we have a concept hearing about what's going to be, what the improvement's going to be. And then the public has a chance to weigh in on it. When we do this in a reserve fashion, I don't think that sits well with some of the public, and it's contrary to what our procedures have been or should be, as I see it. So, but having said that, now that the that it has to go in the capital improvements plan and has to go through that process, I'm a little more comfortable with it, but I still would like to know where the rest of that, how that was expended, and to ensure that it was actually for capital improvements and not for operating expenses. My other concern is the deviation where we were paying the utilities before, and and then making the $25,000 contribution for paying an employee, groundskeeper and maintenance, grounds and maintenance, according to the paperwork that I had. Now we're just going to contribute $75,000, and it's a contribution to the operating, and that seems to be contrary to the way business should be conducted. I'll leave it at that. If we could get that, if Nick could get that information, that'll answer a lot of questions, I think.
Okay. So combining that in the conversation, and the direction I'd received from council was to combine that, let the bees pay for let community field pay for the utilities. We would just provide a flat contribution.
I understand that.
Okay.
I wasn't in favor of it then, and I'm not in
Right.
favor of it now. So
Understood. Okay, we'll get that information and we'll present that in the next packet.
Thank you. I don't know if we need to, anybody else? They were just.
Unless anybody else wants to talk.
Nope, I think
Okay.
we're good.
Well,
Thank you.
I'll just add, I'll add one other thing there. The city has been generous with the Burlington Baseball Association. We've contributed since 2011 about $2.1 million, $2.2 million. And prior to that, it was $450,000 from 2005 to 2011. So we need to be held accountable ourselves and know that where that funding's going. I mean, at least for me as a council member, I want transparency for the citizens.
Absolutely.
I'm not anti-bees, I'm not anti-Burlington Baseball Association, but I do expect transparency on how that money's being funded. And I made it pretty clear, I'm not a big fan of reserve funds, and I've kind of acquiesced a little bit on the general fund because I know the value that it pays when we go out for a loan or for a financing. The rest of it, we need to have some pretty heavy discussions about. And I've had some of those with Chad recently, so I think that's all I got for that.
Understandable. Thank you. All right. You guys may leave if. Yep, nope, I get it. Other events, other commitments. Wait till they clear out a little bit. Thank you guys all for coming. Thank you. All right.
Back to the top.
Yep, back up to the top. All right, we're gonna start with our discussion items. Number one is the treasurer's report. Right? Oh, no.
Okay, so in the packet is June 30th treasurer's report. It's very preliminary. So these numbers are going to change a lot
Yep.
because we're accruing everything back that belongs back to June, which will be revenues, expenditures. None of the transfer entries have been done yet, so, I mean, I can answer questions. I did tell Chad today that I just learned that the Saunderson Heights pilot program, they have approved our final payment, so
Okay, great.
we'll be getting that, but there's a lot of things that'll change.
Right. That time of year.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyone have any questions, concerns, comments?
No, I went through it 3 or 4 times, couldn't find anything.
Yeah.
Just jumped out.
Right?
All right.
You can throw.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Great.
Yeah, thank you. All right, how about some road discussion?
I'm gonna sit down and use this table.
Oh, boy.
Never gets
It's gonna be a
touched.
long one.
It's gonna be 35 years. Well, I'm here tonight to talk about some road planning, after the rejecting of the seal coat and some of the conversations we had up here. I just thought maybe it'd be a good time to bring up kind of what we have in the plans, and where we go from here, sort of thing. So, now I gotta turn it on. That'll help. You might have to help me here, Angela.
Try pointing at the left.
Just, can you move the slide for me? I only have like 7 of them. I'll be Don fitting up here. So tonight, we're just gonna have a discussion about the road plan. We're gonna talk a little bit about the sewer coordination that we have going on over the next several years. Talk about a little bit about the construction market and what it means and the way I see it. And then we'll just have some open discussion on kind of where we're going. Want to hit the next slide for me? So I'm giving you a prelude of fiscal year 26's. So it's fiscal year 27 through 31. So in fiscal year 26, we always plan for the next following fiscal year. So it's a little hard to keep track sometimes when you're in a previous fiscal year talking about future fiscal years. But in here, we're looking at fiscal year 27 through 31. And so we have Summer Street project working right now, Washington Street project for fiscal year 28. I left it off. I don't know why I did this. Can you go back one? Did I really truly leave it off? I did. Okay.
I was like,
I don't know. I just jumped 2 fiscal years out of the middle of it. So fiscal year 28 is Cascade or is Sunnyside Avenue. Fiscal year 27 is Cascade Bridge. Those are 2 of the larger projects that we have. You know, Cascade Bridge is estimated around $11 million. Sunnyside is a $3.5 million project. We have quite a bit of grant dollars involved in there, but we also will have some geo bonding dollars, property tax dollars that we put into that. And maybe what I meant to do was fiscal year 29 and 30, we start focusing on some of the residential roads that people are experiencing. And so we have some asphalt overlays planned for those areas, and then we still have $400,000 budgeted for seal coat. You want to hit the next slide for me? And you see that reflected in the following fiscal years, 31 and 32. We start getting into some collector and some residential for some asphalt. So these are all just kind of preliminary plan based on what we know out in the world that we have that's not great. So this comes from the 5-year road plan, so if you remember it, nothing's changed since then. And you want to hit the next slide for me? I showed you the full 10-year, didn't I? So this is continuation of that. You can see more collector in our residential streets being attacked with some mill and overlay. In some cases, some of it is concrete that we would intend to go with an overlay. My expectation is that some of the concrete will probably need to be crack and seeded. So we'll actually go in there and crack the concrete and then pound it down just to create a good base. We've done that on Johansson Drive, and it seems to be working out fairly well. You don't see any of the reflective cracking that you do in some of the other asphalt areas where you go back over top concrete. You see the same jointing that's aligned with the concrete underneath. So we'll try and do that in a couple of these areas where it makes sense. So again, just spending the traditional, what we've budgeted on an annual basis in the past of 1.5 million, $500,000 that we would kind of set aside for an STBG grant application for our match of it, and then spending around $1 million in some sort of asphalt overlay work. You want to hit the next slide for me? So transitioning into, I had Austin throw this map together. It shows our seal coat roads highlighted in yellow, and I have the full map in hand, but I wanted to target and show specifically the areas that we're doing sewer separation in. We still have sewer separation that needs to occur in South Basin. It's highlighted in the green, Angular in the purple, and then Market in the yellow. So according to our GIS map, we have about 6.8 miles of seal coat in the South Basin. We have 2.21 in Angular and 1.66 in Market. So we still have quite a bit of seal coat in the Hawkeye Basin, which is already separated. But the reason why I'm focusing on this for this conversation is as we go in there and do sewer separation, which our consent order tells us, we just renegotiated, we're going to be doing sewer separation work over the next 20 years, a lot of sewer separation work. The South Basin is the one that we are starting with over the next couple of years. And so in there, you can see in the yellow all of the seal coat roads that we have. So my intention would be to go in there and put in curb and gutter and some storm sewer, which will, one, help a lot of the problem why our seal coat roads degrade is because there's no real good way to get the water off of the road into the proper place. But also gives kind of a bumpers, I guess, and I was thinking bowling, to try and, hold the material in place. And while we're there, a lot of the sewers are in the middle of the road. We'll be disrupting that whole road corridor. So my intention would be to go back with something better than seal coat. In the right places, it maybe makes sense to do concrete. We've had some really good luck with full depth asphalt. The timing on that seems to be a little quicker paced construction than it does for full reconstruction with concrete. So I just wanted to show you the amount of dollars that we don't necessarily have planned in our road budget that we're going to go after road infrastructure through different means. So yes, we'll be paying for it through sewer work, but it'll be massive improvements for those neighborhoods that are experiencing a lot of sewer separation. So obviously this isn't going to happen overnight. I mean, we're going to be spending millions over the next 20 years to do the sewer separation per the consent order. So it'll take time, but I think it'll be a good improvement for the community as we kind of progress. So want to hit the last slide, or is it not? So one of the things I wanted to talk about with the recent bidding process that resulted in rejecting of bids because we had one bid. There's a lot of things that go into the bidding environment when you're bidding out, any sort of public infrastructure project. So in my eyes, the seal coat project that we did was relatively small in comparison to some of the projects that road infrastructure people do. It was estimated at $385,000. That's a lot of money, don't get me wrong, but when you think about it in the scope of road infrastructure, that's a fairly minor project. We bid it a little bit later in the year than maybe what we traditionally would or what some of the contractors are ready to do that work. They've already got their work lined up, so to speak, for the rest of the construction year, and they're not looking for any more. So we've sat down and we've talked about it. We've reached out to several agents or several companies that we know do seal coating and asked them, why didn't you bid? Are you interested in bidding on some of this? Well, after that conversation, some of our packages that we're putting out there, the project scope isn't large enough. So we've talked internally whether or not it makes sense to not do an annual program, but do a biannual or triennial program and stack the dollars that we budget annually into one project, meaning a $1 million seal coat project. And that's a little more appetizing to a contractor to come in and do that type of work. Now, it doesn't get done every year, so like some people expect it to be done, but at least you would be able to get those roads done in a 3-year type time frame. The other thing that staff and I discussed was we have Norris Asphalt in town that mills and overlays and manufactures the asphalt. By the cost per year for its lifespan versus the capital cost, they're all about the same, to be honest. The biggest thing is duration of the construction. Concrete takes the longest, obviously. But what if we went in there and milled 2 inches or so off the seal coats and put back an asphalt overlay? That's something that could work. I mean, the problem is in areas of seal coat where you don't have curb and gutter, the asphalt will scientifically squish out, right? It'll spread and find areas unless it's being contained. Similar to what seal coat does. The other option that we kind of discussed was whether or not the city could self-perform doing seal coat work. I'm not saying that we can't, but the anticipated cost of some of the materials to do the equipment to do the work, we would need some sort of a chip spreader, some sort of oil distribution system, and some sort of a milling mechanism. All 3 of those pieces of equipment, the chip spreader is the most expensive. To buy a new one is in the $300,000, $400,000 bracket. But once you have it, and you could spread that cost in theory across the years that it's a viable piece of equipment. The biggest thing that I see as a loss is the opportunity cost for our staff to go out there and spend what would probably amount to be 2 or 3 months of their time to go out and do this type of work. So we can, it's just, I don't know that that would be my recommended pathway forward. I think that a more viable option or the best option would be to try and package up some of the seal coat projects into a 2 or 3 year span and do them more at once. And then you can go after a pelling. There's a couple in the Quad Cities that do that type of work too. I think it would get some more bidders to the table, and then it would bring down the price to be more reasonable than when you only have one bidder. So I think the last page is just questions or conversation.
I got a couple comments. I like the idea of the multi-year seal coating program. I mean, if obviously if we could upgrade to asphalt, that would be great, and even where there are curbs. But my concern is under the seal coat, what kind of base is there? I mean, is our base substantial enough to handle the asphalt?
Based on what I know of what we used to do for seal coat for a lot of years is that several seal coat layers were done on top of each other. There was very little milling and removal of some of the existing material. And so you probably have a good 5 or 6 inches of seal coat material sitting on what, I don't know. But that seal coat alone probably would make a fairly good base. So I don't know that it would work in all cases, especially where you have maybe some roads that have some drainage issues. But if you have curb and gutter in there and you have a little bit of play elevation or grade wise within that, you might be able to just go over top of the seal coat with an asphalt overlay. You'd have to raise, water valves and manhole rings and stuff like that. You already have to do that for most projects. So I think it's possible. I don't know that every situation is made for that. So it would just have to take some time for our staff to kind of figure out what roadways where we could replace seal coat with an asphalt overlay.
We've got some pretty serious issues right now on some streets, and particularly those ones that aren't getting done this year. What do we do in the meantime? I mean, is it,
So I've directed my staff, the ones that we had anticipated on getting done this year, to go out there. We have the total patching device, which I don't think anybody likes to see, but it is a fairly close resemblance of what seal coat is. With the material that we're using, which we're using slag as the aggregate material, it seems to be sticking together fairly well and hardening up better than what the limestone chips were. That's another piece of the puzzle that we've gone through. A lot of the seal coat that's existing has limestone chips in there. That limestone rock just gets crushed over time and turns into powder. We did have an iteration where we're using a contractor down in the Keokuk area that was using a crushed river rock or a quartz, and that is a little harder material. That material cost started to outweigh its value. So we did use limestone chips in the last iteration. Slag is a potential. I do have some questions on how that would work. You know, what type of material do you end up with, and how hard is it for you to go back and mill a whole roadway that's made of the material? But I mean, we have enough of it in town now that it's probably a non-factor, so.
I appreciate that you and the staff have talked about this and given us some things to think about in terms of long-term change. I mean,
Yeah.
I agree if people won't do small jobs. I have that same problem at my house sometimes. A small job, they come and say they'll get back to me and they never do. So.
It's true.
we did have a program several years back where we talked with various neighborhoods about upgrading their streets from seal coat to either asphalt or concrete. In the beginning, it was asphalt, and then in the end, it was concrete. Where the property owners paid a portion, the city paid a portion. It was not an overly popular program, but it did get several blocks.
Yeah, we haven't done an assessment project since I've been in Burlington, but I do know they were used relatively regularly prior to me being here.
Yeah, and that was all volunteer. I mean, it was done by petition from each neighborhood, so if that kind of funding is available or could be made available.
Oh, I think we'd be open to replacing seal coat with concrete if folks would sign up for an assessment type program. You know, if we're into it from a money perspective as the city, if we're into it as much as we would be, I think we would be much better off having a concrete road. So, to me, it's just the appetite of the residents on assessments.
Yep, for sure.
Through the process of the consent work, the sewer separation work, the city will see a decrease in the number of seal coats because a lot of them will just get taken care of through that process. Replace the sewer, redo the street.
Yeah, that's the direction I've given to staff, is
Over
when we're
time.
doing this design work, when we're going into a seal coat road, we will be making a change. So I don't know whether or not it's concrete or asphalt is probably gonna be the direction,
Right.
but we're gonna install curb and gutter. We're gonna do it the right way, so it doesn't just become a problem.
Yep. And then what would you like to see coming out of tonight's discussion? Probably just information for the council?
It was,
as we get into
more
budget season?
discussion, I guess, so if there's anything that is, I guess, a big policy directive that you would like me to look at, or if no, we're gonna do seal coat and we're gonna self-perform it, I guess I would just need to know now so we could start pricing equipment,
Yeah.
move it into the next fiscal year. I didn't try and completely steer you away from that idea, but I just want to be honest with you that it's gonna be expensive and a learning curve and a lot of time. So mostly I just wanted to get the ideas of that. One, you don't always hear from me about what we're doing behind the scenes as a staff level, and I wanted you to, one, hear that tonight. And two, we wanted to have a little back and forth on stuff, this is the opportunity, right? So
Yep. Yep.
So if you're okay with the multi-year packaging or ways that we can figure out to do bidding better, then that's how we'll go forward.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the city taking over the seal coating program. We had a lot more employees when we were doing that.
Absolutely.
And you're right, they did dedicate 2 or 3 months to every summer doing that. So I do like the multi-year plan, if that's what it's gonna take to get the projects done. And
I think that coupled with some of the sewer separation, I think will make some pretty big improvements for people in the neighborhood. I really think the first few years that we're doing some of those seal coat roads in the sewer separation areas, people are gonna be not like the construction. I'll just be flat out. People do not like construction, but the results, they're perfectly fine with. So I think they'll like the results.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think, at least for me, obviously, what we've been doing hasn't been working, so we shouldn't just keep trying to do it, I guess. And I don't think we're in a position to fund our own outfit of seal coat equipment and staff.
If we did, we might want to think about hiring ourselves out to other cities.
Right.
At a
Yeah,
pretty
I
good
mean, hey.
margin, right?
But yeah, I think a combination of, the multi-year packaging and maybe if it makes sense, if it would work, doing the asphalt in whatever places we can, but only if it makes sense,
Yeah.
curb and gutter and
And
making sure there's
we
no
have been
drainage.
super focused on a lot of arterial and collector roads over the last few years, and so a lot of our staff time has been directed at trying to make sure those projects move forward. As we get into the design of some of these other asphalt projects, it may make sense if you're bidding out $1 million asphalt overlay, that seal coat money that we had planned out just gets wrapped into the asphalting of, and you add on some of the roads that are seal coat into that.
Yep. All right, thank you.
Yes.
well, I got you there, Nick, and before I forget, on 9th Street between Maple and Angular, they cut across the road when they were doing some, I think it was gas work. They backfilled it with rock, and it really jars you when you drive over it.
It's squished out, just like on Central.
All right, I will let our friends at the gas utility know. I will make sure they get fixed.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks.
I got those maps if you want them.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
All right, discussion item number 3, we've got board and commission reports. Do you have any?
Nothing to report. I'm going to a meeting Thursday.
Great.
Yeah, I was down at the senior center again, helping them out with getting rid of some equipment, and I got another day's worth of work down there too. And it's been kind of fun. They're really entertaining down there. I did go to the Henderson County discussion that the chief and the city manager had with the board. It was extremely interesting. I didn't know that at my age I could stand for 2 hours without passing out, but I did. We had a meeting. We voted in favor of the project that West Burlington has. It's a trailhead project. Looks really interesting. There's a long-term project. There's 4 different phases, but this was, I think, the first phase, if I remember right. And then I got with Tim and finally got to the wastewater treatment facility last week. Had a tremendous tour by him. It only took us an hour. The most amazing part to me was the redundancy that's built into that where they can entirely shut down one part of the what they do down there and still have 3 more going to take care of the needs. He did mention that the problem this time of year is getting rid of the cakes that they have to spread on farm fields. There's not many farm fields available when you've got corn and cattle and beans on it. So, but I'm sure that once they get those pecked out, that problem will go away. So that's all I had.
Okay, all right. I ended up missing my downtown partners meeting. I don't know if Chad, you were at that one, if there was anything.
Yeah, I think the only thing is that there's accreditation or assessment coming up.
Yep.
And so we'll get some information out. They would like electeds and city staff to participate in that, so, and we do that every time that comes around, so.
Yeah, yep, for sure. All right, great, thanks. And number 4, we have appointments. Historic Preservation Commission, Mitchell Troxel resigned from the board effective 5/20/26, leaving a vacancy. Tommy Hagan has expressed interest in serving. The application's in there, so we would be appointing Tommy to a new 3-year term. Any concerns with that? Okay, great, all right. And then we will have a proclamation for National Night Out. That'll be exciting. And number 2, any comments on that? No, probably not. All right, number 3, we have a resolution awarding contract for the 2026 flood mitigation public works lot improvements project.
This resolution would award bid to FS Inc. In the amount of $636,444 to do the public work lot improvement, anticipating for the flood wall storage facility that we would be building out there. I didn't bring an image tonight. If you wanted me to try and pop it up, I could. But this was one of 5 bids that we received on the project. We had an engineer's estimate of $765,000, so we were $130,000 under the estimate. Actually, all 5 bids were under the estimate, so that's good to see. This project will be funded out of the flood mitigation funds as part of the sales tax increment piece through the state of Iowa. So I can answer any questions.
I don't have any. No, I think we're good. Thank you. All right, next we have a resolution calling an election on proposal to enter into a general obligation loan agreement and to borrow money thereunder in principal amount not to exceed $7 million.
So while this sounds a little scary when they talk about general obligation loan agreements in an amount not to exceed $7 million, this is really the resolution calling for the special election for the swimming pool project, right? Just from a legal standpoint, it's really calling for that election for a project, a swimming pool not to exceed $7 million in a bond offering. This is coming up now because the deadline, if it is the council's desire to put it on the November ballot, is August 19th. So it's this council cycle or the next one. That's it. So the resolution is in your packet. There's really 2 pieces of this that I would draw your attention to. The first is the ballot language, which is under the first now therefore, and I will read that for the sake of the public, and I'll do so next week as well. And there is a slight change from what you have in the packet, because I had asked the bond council on Friday to consider another word in there, and I'll read that word. Shall the city of Burlington and Des Moines County, state of Iowa, enter into a loan agreement and issue general obligation bonds in an amount not exceeding $7 million for the purpose of paying the cost to that extent of constructing, renovating, and improving municipal swimming pool facilities. So that'll be the ballot language. All of those terms would allow then the city to do whatever you decide to do at that point in time. The other aspect of the resolution that I would draw to your attention, and I did hand out information here additional that wasn't in the packet, and I have a couple extra for those in the audience that might want to see that. It's the second set of italicized words towards the end. It's estimated, this is the money piece, it's estimated that the annual increase in property taxes on a residential property with an actual valuation of $100,000 resulting from entering into the proposed loan agreement and issuing the bonds will be $25.76. That's an annual increase of $100,000 value. However, the city council may determine for any fiscal year while the loan agreement is outstanding to budget other available revenues to the payment of some or all of the debt service coming due thereunder. So because these are general obligation bonds, you can use property tax dollars, you could use any other revenues you have at your disposal that are otherwise lawful. So $100,000 would be an increase of $25.76. Or if you look at this sheet here, and there's a couple of different financial illustrations in this packet that you have. One of them is for 6.5 million at 15 years, and the other is at 7 million at 15 years. The 7 million, which would be the not to exceed amount in this ballot language, would otherwise be 65.9 cents per thousand of assessed valuation. Just extending what they've put in this document in terms of the $25.76 for 100,000. On a home that's 250,000, it would be $66.13. So, with that, I would ask for any questions on the ballot language or any of the other information.
I like the inclusion of the word construction. I was
Just-
worried about
Thank
that
you, yeah,
one.
just seem more inclusive, right?
Anybody have any other questions? No? Good.
It's the cost of a pizza out.
Yeah,
The increase, yeah.
or less, right.
Okay. All right, and number 5, resolution approving a memorandum of understanding between the City of Burlington and the Des Moines County Conservation Foundation regarding the future assignment of the Big Muddy's lease.
So I'll cover this one. This really is just that. It's a memorandum of understanding and basically says if, then this. And so it's basically understanding that if the Des Moines County Conservation Foundation were to secure the Big Money's facility, which is owned by a private third party, with the city holding the land, and we have a lease with that third party. If that building were to convey from the third party to the Des Moines County Conservation Foundation, then the city would enter into a new lease agreement for that facility to be on city property with the Des Moines County Conservation Foundation. Does that make sense?
Yep.
I believe it gives the third party and the Des Moines County Foundation 2 years to decide to transfer the building? I guess I don't remember that piece. So they would have 2 years to figure out what they're doing on that side as far as conveying the building. If at such time that they convey the building, then the Des Moines County Conservation Foundation will come back to the city and say, we now own the building, we need to reassign the lease. And you're indicating by this motion that you're looking favorably upon that action, so.
Any questions or concerns?
Okay,
Nope. All right.
all right,
Thank you.
thank you.
All right, now we move to the proposed consent agenda. First, we have resolution approving various nuisance abatements for various properties. Next, we have a resolution approving contract with the Iowa Economic Development Authority Community Development Block Grant Program for the awarded roof replacement grant.
I can speak on that one. So this is part of a neighborhood stabilization program. The roofs are determined to be one of the biggest factors in saving our housing stock. The grant request was $198,000. The estimate at this point is that that would do 6 homes after admin expenses. So we hope to get more, but at least 6 homes is the estimate. These would be income qualified, owner occupied homes only.
Great, awesome. Any questions, comments, concerns? I think it's a great program. All right, third resolution to establish always stop control at the intersection of West Avenue and South Gear Avenue.
Yes. Yes.
So I want to start the conversation by saying that there's already a stop sign installed at this intersection under the authority of the city manager to install signage for a 6-month period of time before council were to approve anything. That being said, I will give the rationale on why that was done. So we had a call about an issue at Gear and West Avenue. I think I've driven through that intersection several thousand times, and I don't think my brain quite realized what existed out there. Prior to us installing the stop sign out there, we had a 3-leg intersection that had stop signs, and the westbound leg did not. First off, that's highly unusual to have an intersection like that where you have a 4-leg intersection and only one of the legs doesn't stop. So we went through the warranting factors on there. So I'm just going to read a little bit from the memo. There's 2,900 vehicles per day on South Gear Avenue, and then there's 2,400 per day on West Avenue. The lesser legs of that intersection are the gravel portions. The crash data, it looked like there was 5 reported crashes at the intersection in the last 10 years. And then sight distance, we didn't run the sight distance triangles. However, in the northeast corner of the intersection, there's some fairly large trees that kind of follow the creek line that do prohibit some view of folks entering the intersection. So based on the MUTC review of intersections where they have kind of unusual stop sign configurations, we went ahead and installed the stop sign for the west leg. So my recommendation would be to approve the resolution that would allow for this stop sign to be installed. So
Makes sense. It's a weird little intersection.
You don't want us to vote to force you to take it down.
Yeah, that would be a little bit awkward, wouldn't it? I'm not one that, we get several stop sign requests a year. In certain cases, they don't make sense. In cases
This
where I
one
do think it makes
makes
sense,
perfect
I bring it to you and I put it on the consent agenda and install a stop sign. So there's enough cars per day that I thought it was necessary to, we had a lady had called in, she said she about got ran over because a car went straight and they normally don't go straight. Most of the turning motion is for westbound West Avenue to turn north onto Gear. Well, there are some people that don't go that direction. And if you're not expecting that person, if you're expecting that person to stop and they don't, it could be pretty catastrophic. So based on some of the information that I read you and some of the phone calls and talks with staff, thought it was advisable to go ahead and install it.
And there is more housing along Gear Avenue than a few years ago, so.
Yeah, I know that fairly well. I did not recommend that because Nicholas just moved into a cul-de-sac off Gear Avenue.
Very good.
So I can answer any other questions if there's any other hesitations on my recommendation.
The only comments that I heard was, why did it take so long?
To be honest, I think when you just do go through something so often that you don't quite pay attention to the rationale on why it is the way it is, it probably was like that for years. And it took-
Ever since I've lived here, which is 40 years.
I think the dynamics of the area have changed a lot too over time. Back when it was in the country, it probably wasn't even thought of. Now it's a little bit more urban, and so there's a fair more amount of traffic going through that intersection, so.
Yep. All right, very good, thank you. And last, we have a set date for public hearing, August 17th. Consideration of an ordinance amending various sections of Chapter 36 Economic Development Advisory Board of the City of Burlington Municipal Code. Didn't know if we were going to talk about that at all. No. Okay,
Just send a date, we'll
Yep.
bring information to you.
sounds good. All right, now we will go around and get discussion from department heads. Start with the police department. Do you have anything?
Well, thank you very much. We will be speaking about it next week, but I wanted to make sure it was on everybody's calendar next Tuesday, August 4th. Oh, okay. next Tuesday, August 4th, is National Night Out from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. down the riverfront. It'll be fun for the whole family with lots of giveaways for everyone, so please, if you don't have anything going on, hopefully this heat is somewhat broke and it's a little bit more pleasant to be out and about, but next Tuesday, August 4th, from 6 to 8 on the riverfront.
Great, awesome, thank you. How about the fire department?
My turn, thank you. Just a recap, coming out of the weekend, we had our Fire and Splash Summer Bash event, first community acre event for the fire department, first of that type of block party style. Really happy and proud of what we saw that day, a lot of community support. I think we saw a couple hundred visitors. We don't exactly know the tally, but we know we came close to 500 hot dogs being eaten, so we're somewhere in that range. We plan as a group to reconvene either this week or next week to see what we can improve upon and perhaps what the future looks like with that type of event. So we're looking forward to that. And just lastly with that, thanks to our community for showing up and showing out, because it was a really great day. A lot of laughs and kids playing, and it was just a good overall community event. One more reminder, this week is on Wednesday, 10 a.m., the groundbreaking ceremony for Station 3. The heat still looks like it's going to be there, so fortunately for us, it's going to be a half-hour event. Should be in and out, but 10 a.m. Wednesday at the 2100 North Roosevelt site. Hope to see you there. Lastly, again, we have our applications out, so Burlington's Fire Citizens Academy, if you know anybody interested, please send them to our Facebook or the fire department page on our city website. And I do have one more thing. I'll just shout out to our law enforcement brothers and sisters. National Night Out basically is what we just did this weekend on steroids. So we look forward to that event and supporting them as well. So hope to see you there. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Anything from Parks and Development? Finance? Good. Nope, nothing. How about Waterworks?
No, not at this time.
Not at this time, okay. Library?
In this dangerous heat, just want to make mention that the library is a cooling center. The Joint Safety Office, Department of Emergency Management pushes out information, so if you know of anybody out there who's needing a cool place or who has lost power and needs to plug in, send them down to the library. We are the official record keeper for the Environmental Protection Agency, and EPA has sent us one more administrative record that has to do with the emergency permit for the storage of lead azide. Am I saying that right? Azide?
I think so.
Out at the Iowa Army Ammunition Plant. This record that we have is held at the help desk at the library. It's for in-house use only, so if you're wanting to take a look at it for any reason, go on back to the help desk. It will be available for viewing until the end of August, and it also includes a copy of the emergency permit that was filed for that storage of that toxic material. So August, the end of August, we have that record on file at the help desk if you need it.
Great, thank you. Anything? All right. City manager.
How many pages is that EPA report?
They send it electronically now because it's too big to mail.
Yeah, several hundred pages.
Oh, my.
So every month, our departments file a monthly department report. And I know the council gets them, various members of the public. There are a couple of things I wanted to point out in this month's, not to pick on them, but this will be Park Rec and Community Development, just because some of these numbers I think are just worth mentioning. They're pretty impressive. In the Forestry Department, they have worked on 680 tree calls from residents so far this year, 49 just this last month. They have touched 3,100 trees so far this year, and they've planted 211 trees. I think those are impressive numbers for the small number of folks that work in the Forestry Department. Flint Hills Golf Course, over 10,000 rounds of golf so far this year. That's an 800 count over last year. I think that's pretty impressive. Their fiscal year-to-date revenues are up $70,000. The Recplex, for 2026 is up over $40,000 in revenue over last year. So again, just impressive numbers there in the Parks Department. Community Development, these numbers are always amazing to me. Building permits, 691 year-to-date, 53 on the month. Total nuisance cases, 2,800 nuisance cases those folks downstairs are dealing with, 370 on the month, compared to 166 on the month last year, or 1,900 year-to-date last year. This is a number that just always continues to baffle me. 257 junk cars year-to-date, 19 just this month. So those folks are out there working, they're working hard. In the Parks Department, they're working hard too, but they're having a lot of fun too. That's a lot of golf, right? So that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you.
Forget Nick.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh, I was going to. Nick, would you like to come and say something?
He talked enough.
Yeah, I thought you'd already said it.
earlier.
I thought you'd already.
You probably heard too much from me anyway. Just wanted to give you an update. They started laying they cleaned mostly today on Washington Street. It looks like they got some asphalt down, but tomorrow will be the heavy day for laying down asphalt. So, Summer Street, if you haven't been out towards that direction, they got 880 yards of concrete on the ground last week. So, the impressive thing is to come from the existing grade of Summer Street, come toward to the south, and look at that grade change.
Up or down?
It's down significantly. That's the way to get that water to flow into the storm sewer. So, because it used to be ditched. But yeah, 880 yards. It's over 1,000 foot of concrete. So, it's starting to come together. It's taken a while, but
Yeah,
we're getting there.
as it does.
I will be gone next Monday. Please be nice to Mr. Howe. He'll be moonlighting it for me. So,
Sounds great. Thank you.
Thanks, Nick.
All right. Tim, you got anything?
Nope.
All right. Okay.
No, thank you.
No? Okay, I don't have anything either.